cafe. Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Is that where we are? We're at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Yes, that's it. And the episode.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
2670. Wow, look at that. A lot of what you would call podcasts. It's Mike here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. And it's really, really, really awesome to be here today, even though we are
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Wow, are we through the week yet? Oh no, just halfway through. It's going by so quickly. So
Mike's
the last podcast
Daily
we featured
Podcast.
some interesting stuff about what we're spending money on these days. What's getting more expensive and what is not as expensive as other things and all that. But you know what it is? And we talked about, I guess today is when you're listening to this, it's the 7th, and possibly it's National Salami Day and National Beard Day and National Acorn Squash Day. And also neither snow nor rain day in honor of people that delivered the mail. But did you know, if you're listening to this on the 3rd, that it is Star Trek Day? Bum ba bum 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 ba bam. Gene Roddenberry. Wow. You know, he had some other TV shows after Star Trek, after he got popular with that. Borrowed somewhat from Star Trek. That were also, well, they were mostly post-apocalyptic worlds. In Star Trek, you get the feeling that, oh, the future's bright. I gotta wear shades. We meet aliens. And except for an Enterprise, when that alien being shot a laser at the Earth and destroyed Florida, we have overall not had the apocalyptic future that a lot of science fiction brings us. But Gene,
and here's today's podcast picture.
Like to dabble in the apocalyptic stuff. Yes. Armageddon it. Def Leppard. The podcast picture is of me with my cat driving. Yes, driving along in San Leandro, because that's what I do with my cat, Rocky the cat. See that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. We were having a nice little drive. He doesn't really like it. I don't do it that often with him. And it is World Ampersand Day. Ampersand. I always forget, is that the A? Or is that the little thing that looks like a star? The late great Basil the Boxer. Now that guy loved to drive with me. He actually, in the early days, when I first got him, he did not like to drive in cars. He got really nervous and scared, and I'd have to I put a harness on him that was connected to a seat belt. So in case I slammed on the brakes quickly, he wouldn't go flying. Well, he was in that for all of maybe 3 or 4 months, and then he got tired of it. And he was, we weren't having any issues. Now, years and years later, I did slam on the brakes once, and he did go flying. And I felt really bad because he was older at that point. So maybe I should have been putting the harness on him then. But an ampersand is the thing that says an and whenever you write that symbol in anything in the computer world, it turns into this stream of characters. Oh, no, wait. That's when you do an apostrophe S. That's right. Because when I write Mike's Daily Podcast...
This show is clean.
And Beijing is calling me for some reason. That is weird.
Pretty much.
Why on the... yeah, I should have answered it. I know.
MTV News. You hear it first.
How weird is that? I'm doing my podcast and Beijing calls China. Well, Mike, because you're a communist. No. I pay my taxes. I support the businesses I like. I want them to win. Oh, they left a voicemail. Well, this should be interesting. So I don't know what that is. The little apostrophe in Mike's Daily Podcast that turns into a stream of gobbledygook symbols. Let's see.
Please enter your password.
Let's see what it says here.
You have one unheard message.
Here we go.
First unheard message.
What the?
End of message. To delete
That's
this message,
okay.
press 7. To save it.
Wow, it was just some interesting keyboard sounds. Thank you, Beijing, for your keyboard sounds. The ampersand is also known as the and sign.
Mike is on it, man.
Man go where no man has gone before.
We love it, Mike.
It is the logogram and representing the conjunction and. It originated as a ligature of the letters E-T, Latin for and.
Kathy's Corner. Da-da-da-da-da. Kathy's Corner.
And I just lost it. Oh, okay. Okay, that was it. E-T, et. Not the alien, not the extraterrestrial. This has all been fascinating stuff, hasn't it? Thank you. We're going where no man has gone before, or woman, or whatever you are. Thank you for listening, whatever you are. Wherever you are, should be saying too.
You know, I mean, people get stuck on stupid, you know what I mean?
Yes, what interesting. Now, here's something, though, that you might find interesting as well.
This is Mike's Podcast Picnic.
Eventcations are becoming a hot travel trend. 1 week on a white sand beach. No, not interested. In this year's travel boom, they're prioritizing eventcations. Vacations centered on a major event. Formula One's first ever stop in Las Vegas is as much a tourist attraction as its slot machines. WWE sold 90,000 plus tickets in one day for next year's WrestleMania in Philly, pile driving a record for the April event. Live Nation says it's on pace for a record year as concert demand soars. Taylor Swift's recent LA shows alone boosted the city's GDP by $320 million. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
Anyway,
the last place on earth. Beyonce's Renaissance tour raised Sweden's inflation.
Magnification.
Traveling Bay fans equals skyrocketing Stockholm hotel prices. Wow. Hilton said that this year it's already seen double as many loyalty points redeemed for experiences than last year's record. And you remember how hotels were vacant during COVID? We were all thinking they were all going to shut down. And Gavin Newsom was doing things like, hey, all these empty hotels, I'll put the homeless in there. So he housed the unhoused with hotels. Remember how Gavin did a speech like every day?
Bans mutations.
So his voice is always gruff as it is, but it was extra hoarse when he did that. That's what we had in California. Tourist spending on amusement parks and nightclubs was up by 65% in March. This was 2019. Up from, if you go back before COVID, up 65%. MGM said that while gambling revenues were relatively flat, dining experiences and shows are driving growth, like Cirque du Soleil. People ain't gambling as much.
Magnification.
They want the shows and the really good food, the foodie food, the foodies go clamoring for. Airbnb has expanded its experiences, offering all kinds of things. And I told you about a year ago, my lovely lady friend and I went up to Mount Shasta, and we actually did an Airbnb experience. And it was a horse that could... let's say it gave you good energy. It was a horse radiating good energy. It was connected to a unicorn in the 7th dimension or something like that. And his name was Doc Happy. And his mom was also involved. And the lady told us this whole long, interesting story. And
Fabagoo Things to do. Things to do.
The thing I remember the most about all that, except from the horse, I sat down in a chair and the lady said, "Let the horse work on you." I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting on this chair, just hands on my knees, just sitting there, resting. And the horse comes up and just totally like goes, you know, the total horse thing. Like it's kind of like a laugh, like a chuckle right in my face. It was like a wind of grass, the smell of grass, freshly mowed grass, just and horse being just like the wind just pelting my face. It was fascinating. And the little farm where this was at, this ranch, was in a beautiful spot with a beautiful view of Mount Shasta. So that was an amazing experience, and I still remember it a year on. So Airbnb, who's getting hit with all kinds of regulations lately in certain cities? They're not able to, for example, like you can't have more than one guest, and you got to check it. The owner of the Airbnb has to be on the premises at all times, and all kinds of other stipulations. But with its experiences,
Woo!
And recently said experiences are getting better reviews than the rentals. And this all came from Rob Black. I produce his podcast, The Rob Black Show, where he talks about business trends and the economy. Time is even more priceless. After being locked down during the pandemic, consumers are starting their revenge traveling and doing that revenge experiencing, I guess.
I got through that. I got into it.
Elon Musk recently took his self-driving Tesla ride around Palo Alto to find Mark Zuckerberg. Apparently, the car handled well on its own. If it hadn't, that would have been an interesting news story, but that story just kind of went by. Nobody thought much about it. Let's see. And one last thing here. The Sphere. Have you seen this? Speaking of Vegas, we were talking about Vegas a little while ago. The Sphere stands at 366 feet tall, and it's 516 feet wide. It reportedly has the largest LED lights, with 1.2 million lights the size of hockey pucks. Kind of picture that Epcot geodesic dome, but bigger. The MSG Sphere announces its plan to power 70% of Las Vegas Arena with renewable energy.
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants.
Outside a cafe, anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, look who's here. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? And I brought my horse down.
That's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you
what?
I love going to Vegas because I like to see all the great performances and those really, really funny comedians that wear toupees. Tell you
what?
I don't think they're supposed to know that I know that those are toupees.
They do, and they're like super old, but for some reason they magically have hair that's the same color as when they were 17. So yeah, it's fun to watch it in the facelifts. Woo!
You will travel into the incredible universe.
Welsh on the world.
Paul Rubens talking to Conan O'Brien. This was a fairly recent interview, and they were talking about how when the late Paul Rubens, Paul is talking there, and he's mentioning how he did a Netflix special. It was the third Pee-wee adventure. Remember, there was Big Top Pee-wee, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and this was Pee-wee's Big Holiday, I think it was. And apparently they used a lot of CGI on his face to make him look younger. And he said, for the amount of money we spent, I could have gotten like 6 facelifts. And and Conan's like, ha ha ha. Well, I don't have that problem. And Paul Rubens looks him right in the eye. And Conan's like, what? Do you see something? And Paul's like, yeah, I would call someone right away. Someone in Beverly Hills. Like, as soon as we're done. But yeah, he was, we've lost some greats this year, haven't we? It's been sad. Look who else is here.
Oh my God, make delicious root beer. Have some root beer now, because I make it. I'm the brewmaster. I will certainly try it. Oh. Wow, that is splendid. You know, and it has no Splenda in it, does it? No, I use a stevia. Yeah, I don't know if that's much better, but okay. Yes, we are done with this podcast today. I'm just going to call it done. I drove back from Fremont using Mission Boulevard. It is a very famous East Bay Boulevard, and I drive it every single day. And it was traffic after traffic after, and you'd be flying along, and all of a sudden there'd be just nonstop traffic. I'm not sure exactly. There must have been an accident involved, but you know, it was in a particular place where I said, you know what? I don't need to keep going straight.
Addenda with Kevin.
I can make a right turn, go up the hill here, and I'll be at Cal State East Bay. And that's exactly what I did. It was very nice. And I drove through the hills there of the Hayward Hills and ended up right where I needed to be in Podcastro Valley. And people were nice as they were driving. It's very untypical here in the Bay Area. And I'm going to just treasure this moment. These little moments like that. These precious moments. They're great. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley. If you would like to call in and let me know what you think about anything we covered today, 510-228-4640. And with more ways to reach me, it's A-Frame.
The Royal Trump Tweet Decree.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!